Alright guys, so chapter 5 covers the purchasing, the receiving, and the storage of food. Remember we talked about the flow of food, and we said first you gotta purchase stuff, you gotta receive stuff, you gotta store stuff, you gotta prep stuff, and you've gotta cook stuff and serve it to your customers. So purchasing, receiving, and storing. Let's first talk about purchasing. Biggest thing with purchasing is make sure you're getting your stuff from a reputable source, right? So if I'm managing Chili's over there in Manhattan, or a Chili's restaurant, or Panera Bread, or Salvo's, or any restaurant, do I need to know where I'm getting my supplies from or my food from? Yes. Okay, it's the biggest thing. Make sure that you pick a reputable supplier. Make sure they abide by all state, local, and federal laws. Okay, make sure that they can show you an inspection report. How often they get inspected. You probably would want to visit the facility as well. Make sure it's a clean facility, and they, once again, make sure they abide by all state, local, and federal laws as well. So that's the biggest thing about purchasing, is know where you're getting your stuff from. Okay. Once you purchase stuff, you've got to receive stuff. So if I'm, managing a restaurant, I've purchased all my food, I got this big order coming in, now I have to receive it, right? So the delivery trucks come and I'm receiving this food, okay? The biggest thing with receiving is make sure that you schedule deliveries when you or one of your employees has time to inspect the deliveries, right? Think about maybe, Balestras. They know when their busiest times are, so they're not going to schedule a big shipment of food coming in when they know they're right in the middle of lunch rush or something like that over there at Balestras, or at a restaurant or something like that. You got to make sure that you have time to inspect the deliveries. That's why they're typically done, if you notice, at Balestras. I'm just using them for an example because they're the first ones that popped in my head. But if you notice, like Bunny Bread, Bluebell Ice Cream, all those trucks typically are outside of Balestras, typically in the morning hours. Or every now and then you'll see them like late in the evening. But typically they come first thing in the morning and they get it knocked out the way before everything gets really hectic and really crazy. You also want to make sure that you have specific people that are trained to accept deliveries. They know what to look for, they're okay with signing off on stuff and that sort of thing. The first thing you want to do with deliveries is make sure that you check the truck. Obviously, if it's going to be cold stuff and the truck pulls up and it looks like it's a mess, it looks like it's the truck is dirty, it's not cold and that sort of thing, you're going to want to reject the delivery. So that's the biggest thing. Make sure you have your people trained on what to look for. Make sure that you're scheduling deliveries at times that are not really busy, and make sure that you're inspecting your deliveries and signing off on them. And we'll talk about when to reject stuff later on. What else we got? Let me look and flip into the book here real quick. It talks about, in the book, for key drop deliveries. What the heck is a key drop delivery? A key drop delivery is when you're getting stuff delivered to your restaurant or your grocery store or what have you when nobody is there. Basically, it's going to be an after hours type of thing. The restaurant or the grocery store may be closed. You keep a hidden key somewhere. That's why it's called a key drop delivery. You keep a hidden key somewhere, or the delivery person knows the code to get into your establishment. They get in there, they drop off the stuff, and then they leave the invoice there, and then they leave, and that sort of thing. That would have to be set up to where they would have access to your coolers and stuff like that, because if it is stuff that needs to be kept cold, they're going to have to do the key drop delivery, and they're going to have to put the stuff right away into the cooler. They're not going to be able to leave stuff sitting out. So they would have to have access to your coolers and that kind of stuff. I would think these would be maybe people that you have to be pretty trustworthy to let somebody in your place, after hours when nobody's around. That being said, that following morning, whoever's first to come in the door that following morning has to inspect that delivery right away. So if for some reason at your grocery store you were doing a key drop delivery for, a bunch of ice cream or something like that, the next morning, as soon as the store opened up, whoever opened up the store would have to go inspect that delivery right away to make sure that everything was done appropriately the night before for the key drop delivery, okay? And if not, then they would have to call the place and say, hey, you've messed up our order, you didn't keep the food safe, whatever it may be, and, send that stuff back. As far as rejected items go, if you get something during the delivery, or if you're, getting a big delivery of bread or pastries or whatever the food may be, and you know that you don't want to take it, that it's got, roach droppings on it, mouse droppings on it, or just it's been busted, something like that, and you need to reject the item, you need to let the person that's delivering it know. They have to document it, and you have to sign everything. And then you need to, give that back to them, or at least put it aside and put it separate from the stuff that you are going to accept and serve. If something is part of a recall, is also in this chapter. For a recall, you do not throw away the item. Okay, so say you're using a specific type of, for some reason mac and cheese is popping in my head, because I remember a while back, Kraft mac and cheese had metal shavings in it, which would be a physical contaminant, in the Kraft mac and cheese, and it was part of a recall. So maybe, or think of the lettuce, right? We have romaine lettuce with E. coli and stuff in it. So maybe you're working at McDonald's and there's a batch of lettuce that is being recalled and you have it in your restaurant. Are you going to just take that lettuce and automatically throw it away? No. And these are specific certification questions that they will ask you in your certification test. You're going to take that lettuce, you're going to separate it. You have to separate it from the food that's okay, that is okay to serve. You separate it, put it on a shelf, you tag it, do not use, part of a recall, in like a big red tag. Typically it's red. A red tag that says do not use, part of a food recall. And you just set it aside and separate it. You don't throw it away in case they want that food back to inspect it. So if it was like the lettuce, mac and cheese, or something like that, the company themselves may want to come pick that food up, and it may be part of an investigation, and they may want to investigate it. So you don't throw it away, but you have to tag it, obviously. Tag it and separate it. That's one of the big things. Okay. Also, in the video that I'm attaching, we notice on a lot of the certification tests and things like that, they mention as far as what's called sous vide food, and that's like the way of cooking food. It's a little different. Typically you put a chicken in an oven, and that's typically the way we cook it, but there is a process called sous vide, when they put it like in a bag with water, and they put it in a bag, and they basically kind of vacuum seal it, and they let the water, and they put it in a boiling pot of water, and that would cook the chicken versus putting it in the oven. There's a certain way that you check temperatures for that, and we're going to talk about that. I'm also going to put up a picture that'll kind of help you out too as far as taking temperatures of stuff. So, and when you are receiving food, you have to take the temperatures of those specific foods. If it is food that has to be kept cold, it should be kept at 41 or below. So hopefully if you're receiving that food, it's got to be at 41 or below. So if I'm getting a big old shipment in of clam chowder soup, and I will use clam chowder again because they use clam chowder as an example all the time. ServSafe does, like we said. I don't know why. Maybe you're working at Panera Bread, and they're delivering a bunch of clam chowder soup. How are you going to take the temperature of that soup when it arrives at your store to make sure it's safe for you to receive that soup? What you're going to do is you're going to physically open up one of the clam chowder bowls, open it up, take your thermometer, stick it in there, and it's got to read 41 or below. It is a cold food. If it is a cold food, or food that is supposed to be kept cold, it's got to be kept at 41 or below. So you physically open the clam chowder, stick the thermometer in there, and check the temperature. If it's at 41 or below, you're good to go. You can receive that soup into your restaurant, like Panera Bread. If you put that thermometer in there and it reads 41 or above, so if it reads like 45, 46, something like that, 70 degrees, no, that's the time temperature danger zone. You tell the person that's trying to deliver that soup, the soup is at 70 degrees or 60 degrees or whatever it may be, I'm not accepting it. You can send it back. Okay, so that's how you would check the temperature for that. If it is meat, poultry, or fish, and you'll see the little handout, a little picture I'm going to put up, you open up the chicken, you stick the thermometer in the chicken, and you make sure that the chicken, if it's frozen chicken, it's got to be kept cold, right? Or cold chicken, 41 or below. If it's 41 or below, it's okay for you to receive the chicken. Okay? They talk about reduced oxygen packaging, ROP food, and like we said before, the sous vide food. That's packaged up a little bit differently. Reduced oxygen packaging basically means it's vacuum sealed. Think of like bacon. Like a package of bacon, there's hardly any air in there. The air's been sucked out. That's what that means. So reduced oxygen packaging, or sous vide food, or like big old links of sausage or something like that hardly any air is in there. It's like vacuum sealed. You take your thermometer and you put it in between the two links, say, of sausage. You take the thermometer and put it in between the two links of sausage and get your temperature. You're not going to puncture the package. You're not going to, open the package up. You're just going to kind of fold the plastic over in between. So if this was the thermometer, you would take it and put it between the two links of sausage, or like on the pack of bacon, and kind of fold the wrapping over the best you can and get a temperature. You're not going to puncture the package or open it up or anything like that. Okay, so just pay attention to that on the handout. Okay, that's it for now. I'll post another video up later for receiving temperatures, but make sure you take a look at this video, take a look at the handout, and watch the video on sous vide food. It's kind of interesting. I had never heard of cooking food that way until I started teaching this course. Okay, have a great weekend. I'll see you guys later. Bye.